Welcome to the Versa Business Tips podcast. I'm your host, founder, and CEO of Versa Business Systems, Shaheen Mazloom. We are here with John Dwyer today, the Institute of Wow. So, marketing expert, John, how long have you been doing marketing? And tell us a little bit about your company and where you're from.
I've been doing it since 1832, Shaheen, so therefore that's 150 years. Look, I've been doing it for a long, long while. I got into advertising and marketing in my early 20s and did the usual college degrees of, sort of getting certificates for marketing and stuff.
Yeah.
Most of which the information was completely useless because, as you know, what you learn at college and what's in the real world are two
very different things. Yep.
And so I've learned from that mantra of test and fix, like all of us entrepreneurs. I've been on that great roller coaster. I've said to my wife a couple of times, can't we just get on the merry-go-round? And she said, no, you've got 6 children to put through private school. Keep doing what you're doing. They're all grown up now, by the way. They left home. But so I had to run pretty fast because we had the Von Trapp family, 6 kids.
Wow. That's a lot. So, marketing is constantly changing. You bring up a great point. When you're in college and you get out into the real world, what you were learning is not what was relevant at the time, right? As entrepreneurs, we want marketing to be a set it and forget it, and it never ends up that way. So, before we started recording, you had mentioned that, as small business owners, we want a fast return, right? Like we want to be able to get leads as quickly as possible, close those leads as quickly as possible, and keep growing, right? We don't have time to sponsor the Olympics in 4 years and wait for that to, produce some revenue. So what are you seeing as far as marketing trends now, and what's working really well for people?
Yeah, look, we've got butchers, bakers, candlestick makers, and most of our clients are doing south of 10 mil turnover. I mean, the facts are that, as you can tell from my accent, I'm in Australia, but we have global clients, of course, and everyone does these days. But, in America, in the UK, and in Australia, 96% of businesses are doing less than 1 million turnover.
Yeah.
And so that's our sweet spot. And we generally like to target that audience because they can make a decision tomorrow. I've been in the corporate world and you know what it's like. They take 6 months of committee meetings to make a decision.
If not longer.
So what we do is that, the crazy part about bricks and mortar businesses particularly is the lack of collecting any data. Do you know that McDonald's don't even collect data? I mean, they'll argue they've got a QR code at the counter, but who scans that?
Right.
And they've got an app, of course, and anyone over 45 is not going to look at that. So therefore, the thing that I really do preach to small businesses is do whatever you have to do to collect data, because once you've got a database, you can do what Amazon have been doing pretty successfully in the last few years. And you can walk, I can guarantee you, Shaheen, you can walk into any restaurant in the US today or Australia or England, and you can have a $200 or $300 meal and they'll let you leave without knowing who the hell you are.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable. So what we've done recently, and I'll share this with you and the listeners or viewers, I stumbled across this by accident. We call it the Facebook contest formula. Okay, and we have a webpage which is fbcontestformula.com, and what it is that we actually show businesses they can swipe the idea and just do it themselves. They don't need us, and that is run a contest on Facebook for your product or service, and then of course you get a gazillion people who are entering that contest. For example, we're doing one at the moment for a dental surgery that has invisible braces. They're called Invisalign. And these things sell for $5,000, and right. So therefore we're running a this is going to sound like Dr. Evil, by the way, but we're running a contest on Facebook for you to win invisible braces worth $5,000.
Right.
Nobody with straight teeth is going to enter that contest.
Right.
I mean, whoever enters that contest either has a child or their own teeth are crooked.
Yeah.
That means is that when they give one away, they've got 999 other people who have glowed in the dark, put their hand up, and said, I've got crooked teeth. I would love to win those invisible braces. So you've got the database from heaven. We're talking red hot leads, not leads.
Right.
And what we do now is because we actually get them to run the contest over, 4 or 8 weeks, and you can only enter once, which means that if you enter that on week 1, you can't enter on week 2. So what we do is that because none of these clients can follow up, we just have an AI agent now phoning week 1's entrants, all the people who entered the contest in week 1. The robot rings them on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and week 2 and says, look, we got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is you didn't win the invisible braces. Good news is we've got a special deal this week.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's a red hot lead from heaven. It's very simple. It's just like I can't believe us humans think we're smart when we only put red and green lights in the shopping mall car parks about 5 years ago, but we put man on the moon 50 years ago.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where it's really simple. It's really simple. You look at it and go, my God, this is the simplest thing in the world. And so what we do, because we know that these clients will never get around to following up the leads. I mean, we had a guy last week. Got 822 leads at 35 cents a lead in the first week, and he's saying to me, what do? We can't follow them up. We don't have the staff to follow them up. So we get a robot to do it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing with AI now. I mean, not just with texting and emailing, but you've got the voice option. I mean, it's incredible. We used what was it, Air AI for a little bit, and man, it was expensive. It was expensive, and they ended up being a not as good as what it was supposed to be. But there's some new stuff out there now that's you can't tell it's a robot.
Yeah. We had one 2 weeks ago. The guy, this is the 822 lead one in 1 week. He owns a business with walking frames for seniors. So he looks after medical equipment for seniors. So it might be a scooter and it might be the walking frame with wheels on it. He insulted me, Shaheen, by saying, do you want to do a contra deal? Then I said to him, I hope he dies in his sleep. Right? But anyway, so he came on as a client, and we ran, really, I've got to be honest with you, this surprised me. We ran a Facebook campaign because these people are in their 70s and 80s. And we ran a Facebook campaign to win a wheelie walker, which is like a BMW version of the walkers. It's got these wheels on it. I think they might light up even. So it's for the disco seniors. Anyway, so we ran the Facebook campaign and said, would you like to win a wheelie walker worth $500? Well, guess what? He was getting entries from 78-year-olds at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. He couldn't believe it. He had 822 leads at 35 cents a lead. So he's only spending $40 a day. And he's just beside himself. And what we've done is that we've got the AI robot, which you would never know is not a real lady, but the lady is ringing up and just saying, look, we've got some good news and some bad news. You didn't win the contest. That's the bad news. The good news is we've got this special deal for you, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And the robot, wait for it, the robot is closing at 14%, which is better than his top sales guy.
Wow. Wow.
So you can imagine, like he said to me, my name's John Dwyer, but I get JD. And he goes, JD, I used to get 800 leads in 6 months. I'm getting them now in 1 week.
Right.
And the robot's closing at 14%. My best salesperson's closing at 9%.
That's insane. Wow. Yeah. I bet he's through the moon.
Yes, look, I've told him to deliver, cartons of high, top brand beer to my office as often as possible.
Oh yeah, he owes you a lot. That's crazy. So now, that being said, when you're showing your clients this type of a success, are you are you getting a flat fee back from them? Are you doing like a rev share with them? I mean, how is your company structured?
No, I'm a complete idiot. Okay, so you're talking to a moron on this podcast, Shaheen. Wait for this. This is how stupid I am. Is that years ago I had a client called the Greater Building Society, so it's a bank here in Australia.
Right.
And I came up with an idea for them because I was doing some TV infomercials for a discount travel company. And when you're in the banking game, basically you want to sell home loans, and every bank does the same thing. They give people a 1% honeymoon rate for the first 12 months. And so it might be 5% for the first 12 months, and it jumps up to 6%. Once they've got you, it jumps up to 6% about a year later. And I was doing some travel commercials for this company, and so therefore I introduced them to the Building Society and said, look, why don't you stop your honeymoon rate? Every other bank's doing that. Why don't you actually give the money that you would have given out to the consumer to the travel company, and they'll give you a discount vacation. So we came on TV and we said, get a home loan, get a free vacation. The thing went nuts. The first 3 years, they not only quadrupled their home loans, they actually were getting, better home loans. So the average might have been $560. That's 560K before this started. It jumped up to 800K. And about
Wow.
3 years into it, I got Jerry Seinfeld to do their ads. Okay, so therefore I would fly. Yeah, which is a pretty big coup.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Excuse me, Shaheen, whilst I just pick up another name whilst I dropped on the floor. Yeah. So anyway, we got Seinfeld to do the ads. I'd fly backwards and forwards to New York, and Jerry would be standing outside a mock-up bank, this Australian bank, and
Right.
when you're dealing with Seinfeld, everything's big, so all the cars in the street had to have Australian number plates and all this sort of stuff. So anyway, you put Jerry to it. The thing went nuts, went through the roof. Get a Jerry Seinfeld coming on TV down under saying, get a home loan, get a free vacation. So the
Right.
thing went through it. And of course, I was charging consultancy fee. I worked out that if I had just charged 0.000001% of the increase in home loans, I would have bought Hawaii. I wouldn't have gone there.
Yeah. Oh,
But you're quite
man.
right. This leads thing, and I'll throw in a plug if you don't mind. It's basically fbcontestformula.com. At the moment, we just charge $997 a month to actually put it together for people, which is outrageous.
Wow.
But I'm doing a bit of I won't say bait and switch because that's not nice. But what I'm doing is that I'm getting a whole volume of case studies under our belt, which is really easy because this thing just doesn't fail. And then what we'll do is hopefully put our hand up and say, look, how about we do this for you for free and we'll take a percentage. But the only thing, Shaheen, when you take a percentage, you've got to deal with honest people.
Yeah.
You've got to have an audit trail.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's it is tough in this day and age. It's easier to to get your guarantee and call it a day, right? But I mean, with those kind of results, I mean, it's unreal.
It is.
And so you're doing the contest. I've always thought of contests on Facebook as just something that is like a post and not that you would put ad dollars behind. So you're actually creating the contest, putting ad dollars behind it, targeting who you need to target. Now, as far as targeting goes, I'm being told that you can't target as much as you used to be able to because of privacy laws. Is that the case with social media, or is it still the same as it's always been?
Yeah, no. I mean, there's because the woke community came. Then there was lots of, I mean, I think they're going away again now, which is good.
Yeah.
Anyway, because they came and just destroyed the party. There's lots of more conditions and rules put in, but no, you can still laser target. You can't cookie them like you used to.
Right.
But nonetheless, you can still target. In the instance of the wheelie walker, it's people in their 70s and 80s and people in their 40s and 50s who might have parents in that age group.
Right.
And in the dentist's instance, he only wants rich people with crooked teeth, and so therefore we zero in on the zip codes where there are the $1 million and $2 million, $3 million homes. Because, of course, when they follow them up to say you didn't win the invisible braces, but we've got this special deal of
they've got the money to do it.
They've got the money, yeah. And all of these people now, as you know, look, all of these people have finance programs. So even if they are, not well off, then of course, as long as their surname is not Manson, they can get a loan.
Right. Very true. So,
Shaheen, I got to say this to you. I did the Charles Manson thing on one occasion in one of these interviews, and I said, unless the guy's name is, Charles, his surname is Manson, you can probably get, whatever it might have been. Guess what? This is how stupid I am. The guy who was running the podcast, his surname was Manson.
No way.
And I said to him, surely your first name is not Charles. He said, no.
Okay, good. That's crazy. So, you brought up a great point as far as, so you can't target by income, but you can target a zip code where you can only afford to live in the zip code if your income is X amount, right? If you're trying to target a low income area, you use the low income zip codes. You're trying to target a high income area, target the high income zip code. It's I don't know why I've never thought about this, but I haven't. That's a great way to do that.
You know how it came. You know how it came about. I was speaking. I swapped from the corporate world about a dozen years ago. I used to do all the marketing with McDonald's and 7-Eleven and
Right.
Fox and Disney and all that sort of stuff. Here, I'm down under. And I said to my wife, "Look, we're not getting any younger. Why don't I take this IP that I've been selling to some of the bigger corporates and put it into small businesses?"
Right.
And my wife reminded me at that stage a dozen years ago. We still had a couple of kids at school, so she said, "No, you're an idiot. Just stick to your knitting, right?" Anyway, I didn't listen to her, and so I went out on the seminar circuit. I'll never forget it. The first seminar I did, I'm on stage, and the Seinfeld campaign was running at the time, so it was pretty easy to fill a room with 100, 150
Right.
people. And I said to my wife, look, I told you this is what's going to be. There are 150 people there. I think I was the only person in the room with teeth, by the way. But anyway, so therefore, I said in the morning to the front row, "What do you do for a living?" And one lady said, "I make garden gnomes." The other one said she was a psychic. And I think the other one was what was it? It was something else. I mean, she did knitting for a living. And at morning tea time, when everyone broke for a coffee, I said to my wife, "I'm going to Costco." And she said, "Why?" I said, "To buy some rope." What the hell have we done? Right? So, anyway, I realized that small business owners, they want packaged promotions. They don't
Yeah.
want advice, because the thing is that, advice is wonderful, but they just don't have the execution or the time to execute.
Yep.
So what we tend to do now is that we give them a packaged promotion, and that really suits most small businesses.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, there's advice everywhere. If you want advice, you just go to YouTube and you can get some great advice. You go to one of these podcasts, you get some great advice. But you're right, it's the implementation that most people need help with, especially in the small business, areas. The reason why they're a small business is because they didn't go to college and they don't have a ton of money and they're trying to build something. And like you said, it's a lot of trial and error. So if you can get working with somebody that's done the trial and error and has actually figured these things out,
Yeah.
it's great what you guys are doing. I love the contest idea. Now, besides social media, what is your take on TV ads? I don't know about in Australia, but here in the States, I mean, I was watching a show last night with my wife, and I noticed 4 or 5 of the companies that were running TV ads I'd never even heard of before. So we're
Yeah.
starting to see more of your smaller companies get on TV. Is that a trend you guys are seeing over there as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you
Look,
think? What is the reason for that?
well, the big media outlets have lost control. They used to be able to control anything. So the TV networks and radio stations and newspapers, Murdoch newspapers, I was involved with them for a long time, because I
Right.
would do this. I would do the scratch bingo promotions for them that would get people to buy the paper daily to get their bingo numbers right. So
Yeah.
what we tend to do is that we tend to provide what we call artificial wow factors to get people to buy the product or to test the product. So if you're Apple, then you don't need me. I mean, you've got enough organic wow factors with that telephone that you don't need my help. But
Right.
if you're a solar dealer and your solar panels look like every other solar panel, then you might like to knock on my door, because I'm going to come up with a wow factor, hence the Institute of Wow.
Yeah.
And what we found with TV and radio and newspapers is that look at what happened with the election. I mean, Donald Trump, if he went on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, he would have got to 4 or 5 million people.
Yeah.
If he went on not that he would be going on The View, the ladies' TV show, but that's about 1.8 million viewers. He went to Joe Rogan and got 54 million viewers, and that's not a normal, regular, old
No.
world media.
No.
That's Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
So, and that's what's happening. The TV stations, because they're hurting, because the big corporates now are, sort of using social media,
Yeah.
then what they're doing is knocking on the doors of the smaller businesses and saying, "Look, I can give you a TV campaign for X dollars that it used to be like much more expensive."
Yeah.
And of course, the smaller businesses, because they might not be marketing savvy, say yes. My advice to them is to probably be very careful about saying yes, because the TV networks, let's put it this way, the TV networks don't collect any data.
No.
So therefore, if you put your ad out in,
So they're not
in your,
targeting. Well, I noticed that. I was watching a commercial last night for some sort of government thing going on in New Jersey. I'm in
yeah,
Maryland. I'm nowhere near New Jersey. So
you
that
got it.
was a completely waste of money for whoever did that ad.
You got it. And look, there's
Yeah.
probably a wastage factor in most of those advertisers
Oh
of at
yeah.
least 50%, but there's no wastage factor if you go down the TikTok, Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram path, because when I say no wastage factor, but it's minimal
Right.
compared to just spraying bullets on
If
TV.
somebody that knows what they're doing is running your ads.
You got it. Well, take, for example, there's a client that we have is running a handball tournament on Saturday week, and
Yeah.
so therefore he's after children 8 through to 16, and so therefore when we target Facebook and any other social platform, Instagram, we target parents of 8 to 16-year-olds in a particular geographic area. So our geodemographic profile is parents between the age of, let's say, 30 and 50 who would have children between 8 and 16
Right.
in this particular zip code, this zip code, this zip code, which means is that our ad showing the kids playing handball and a big tournament coming up on Saturday, it's only going to the right people. It's not just sprayed out to pensioners who, their children are in their 40s.
Exactly. There's no point of talking to people that it doesn't make sense for,
Yeah.
and that's that's one thing that I've always struggled with as far as B2B on social media, especially in the funding space, right? We're looking for people that are looking to borrow money. Well, who's looking to borrow money? People that don't have any. And if you don't have
Yeah.
any, you're not going to get approved for any money. You got to have some. But depending on the product or service, it's it's so important to have somebody that really knows how this stuff works, and eats, sleeps, and breathes marketing, especially with social media and TV ads and radio ads. I mean, they've got to know where your audience is spending time, right?
Yeah, yeah. And look, in your world, because I've been pretty close to it, working with this bank down under, it's like, as you know, it's absolutely you don't have a bricks and mortar business where they're walking past and think, oh, I feel like a donut. You've got to go and get those leads for the lowest CPL, cost per lead, you can possibly get.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And you make a good point is, when you have an abundance of leads, you've also got to have the systems or the people in place to be able to handle those leads. Because,
Yeah,
it's great to get 846 leads, but if you can't call them all, pretty quickly,
yeah.
it's a waste. It's a
You
waste,
got it,
right?
because the red hot turns to hot, then turns to warm, and then
Right.
turns to cold. I can't remember you 3 weeks later.
Exactly.
Let me say this to you, Shaheen, though, as a result of the Seinfeld vacation campaign, I had a company contact me to say, look, we're a travel company. We've seen what you did with the Seinfeld campaign down under. We've got access to unsold hotel rooms in America and right around the world.
Yeah.
So what happens now is that when the robot rings up people who haven't won the contest, which is 99.9% of them, not only do they give a good deal on whatever that product or service is, whether it's landscaping or lawn mowing or it's a refrigerator, but they say, if you actually buy it by Friday, we'll give you one of these, which is a
Yeah.
vacation voucher for 3 to 7 nights vacation in Las Vegas, New York,
Yeah.
Orlando, Cincinnati, wherever
Yeah,
they want to go.
we do the same thing. It's great.
And I've got to say to you, the reason I highlight that to you is, if anyone's looking for an incentive that's going to get people excited, look for one that's, if you've got an audience which is a wide demographic, look for one that's actually appealing to men and women at all ages, and you will not beat travel.
Yeah,
Travel's just
travel appeals to everybody. If you can give somebody a 3-night stay in a hotel somewhere that's not their home, it appeals to people. It really
It does.
does. And a lot of and there's, like you said, it's the unused hotel rooms. People are like, oh, well, how are you able to do that? Well, it's these hotel rooms aren't being used, so they'd rather have people use them, right? And spend their money in the shop or in the restaurant or whatever, than have nobody in the room, right?
You
So
got
they're
it.
willing to give them away for free. And so you're not gonna get a free room in New York City on New Year's Eve, no, but you will get a free room for 3 nights when they're not as busy, which is it's a
It's funny,
plus too.
whenever I get a client, like a business owner, says to me, "Oh, yeah, but they can't go on school vacations." I said, "No, of course they can't, because the hotels are not Mother Teresa. They're giving
Right,
up unsold rooms. They don't have any unsold rooms at Christmas and Easter."
right,
And they go, "Oh, but we would like to send our customers there at Christmas and Easter." I said, "Good, pay $3,000
right.
top dollar and send them there."
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You might want to double your price on your product.
It's like giving someone a box of chocolates and they say, "Look, I don't like the caramel one." Well, I'm
Right.
sorry,
I want, yeah, exactly. I don't
you
like
got to
Mars.
put
I want
three.
Quality Streets. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy. But I mean, dude, we've picked up some amazing, amazing tips from you today, John. Where can people reach you to learn more about? I mean, you've been doing marketing for a long time. It keeps changing. I'm sure you've got other wow factors and other great ideas. Where can we see that stuff? Where can we find you?
Yes, mate. Well, thank you very much. It's the website is theinstituteofwow.com. So therefore it's theinstituteofwow.com. And before we kicked off the podcast, you asked me if I had a gift, and I told you that my auntie Teresa, known as Mother Teresa to other people, but my auntie Teresa told me that I should live to give. So, all sarcasm aside, I've decided that I will give you a little book that I've written, and this is called The Institute of Wow. You can see it's the size of a tabloid newspaper. And this one here is leather bound and gold tipped on the edges and all this sort of stuff. I
Nice.
can't give you the real version because it's $420 to print. So I'll give you the digital version. And inside here, before I give you the URL, inside here, in all seriousness, is a gigantic swipe file of direct
Wow.
response ideas. So there's 300 pages there of idea after idea after idea.
Wow.
I only put the ones that worked in here. The ones that didn't work, I left on the floor. Okay, so
Right.
therefore, these are all the winning ideas, and it's
Right.
called the
So
the
those are
Wow
all the
Manifesto.
things that have worked for direct, quick responses to be able to get some leads coming into your business. It's the
Yeah.
holidays. You got to start thinking outside the box. John's done it for you. So you're going to go to the instituteofwow.com, download this free book.
Sorry, Shaheen. This one is a different URL. So this one is if you go to wowmanifesto.com /gift.
Wowmanifesto.com. Okay.
Yeah, and forward slash gift. So wowmanifesto.com with the forward slash gift, as in Christmas gift.
Manifesto.com/gift. All right, perfect. So I will make sure to put wowmanifesto.com /gift, as well as the instituteofwow.com on the description. That way people can click it. They can follow you. They can learn more from you. And hopefully they do business with you. You seem like a very smart guy that has done really well in marketing. So keep it up, brother.
Thank you very much, Shaheen. All the best.
Great talking to you.
You too.